Today, we're diving into the dark side of corporate power, betrayal, and a relentless pursuit of justice. Imagine this: a billionaire CEO humiliates a pregnant employee, unaware that the consequences of his actions will come crashing down years later. This is a story of revenge, redemption, and the fierce power of resilience and love. If you're ready for a tale filled with drama, emotion, and a touch of poetic justice, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story. Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts as the drama unfolds. The sun poured through the gleaming windows of Bradstone Corporation's towering skyscraper, casting bright reflections across every polished surface. Inside the sprawling high-tech office, employees moved briskly, their footsteps echoing on the marble floors. The tension in the air was palpable. Everyone knew the importance of today's meeting. At the helm of this empire was Lucas Grant, the CEO, a man whose reputation preceded him. Known for his charisma, wealth, and power, he was feared and revered in equal measure. Tall, striking, and impeccably dressed, Lucas was the kind of man who commanded attention without saying a word. He exuded confidence, a man who felt untouchable and had built a fortune by ruthlessly eliminating anyone who stood in his way. But today, hidden among the rows of employees, was someone he had underestimated, someone who carried the memory of his cruelty like a scar. Emily Parker sat quietly in the back of the room, her hands resting on the round curve of her pregnant belly. Her gaze was fixed on the front of the room, where Lucas stood, preparing for his grand announcement. The room buzzed with anticipation, but Emily felt only a growing sense of dread. Months ago, she had been swept into a passionate whirlwind romance with Lucas. Late-night dinners, private jets, and whispered promises that felt as solid as stone. But the moment she revealed she was pregnant, Lucas's demeanor had changed. He had coldly dismissed her, cutting her off and leaving her to face her pregnancy alone. Today, as Lucas's eyes scanned the room, he spotted her. A smirk crept onto his lips, and his gaze drifted to her visibly swollen belly. Well, well, well. Lucas's voice dripped with mockery as he gestured toward her. Looks like someone's been keeping a little secret. Tell me, Miss Parker, do you have something to share with the class? The room fell silent. All eyes turned toward Emily, some filled with curiosity, others with judgment. Heat rose to her cheeks as she felt the weight of humiliation settling into her chest. She wanted to disappear, to sink into the floor and never be seen again. But Lucas wasn't finished. Ladies and gentlemen, he continued, his tone venomous, it seems Miss Parker thought it would be a good idea to trap a man with a baby. Classic move, isn't it? Laughter rippled through the room, though a few employees looked uncomfortable with the scene unfolding before them. Emily's hands trembled as she gripped the edges of the table, struggling to keep her composure. She could feel the shame burning, but she refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. Without a word, she rose from her seat and walked out of the conference room, her head held high. But as soon as she reached the safety of the hallway, tears filled her eyes. The humiliation, the betrayal, it was almost too much to bear. Yet, in that moment, something shifted inside her. This wasn't over. Lucas had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Years passed. Emily lived a modest life in a small but cozy apartment, raising her son, Ethan. Every day was a reminder of the strength she had to muster after being discarded by Lucas. She had built a world of love and warmth for her son, and he had grown into a bright, determined young man who bore an uncanny resemblance to his father. Though she had never told him the truth about his origins, Ethan had always sensed there was something left unsaid. One evening, as they sat at the kitchen table, Ethan looked at his mother with a question that had been lingering in his mind for years. Mom, why don't you ever talk about my father? His fork paused halfway to his mouth, his eyes filled with quiet intensity. Emily looked at her son, her heart aching. Ethan had grown into a young man, tall and strong, with features that mirrored his father's. She had protected him from the truth for so long, but she could see that he was ready to hear it. With a sigh, she told him everything, about the brief romance, the promises, and the betrayal. She explained how Lucas had dismissed her, how he had humiliated her in front of an entire company, and left her to face motherhood alone. Ethan's face hardened with anger as he absorbed her words. He humiliated you? He left us? He asked, his voice edged with fury. Mom, We can't let him get away with this. He's out there, living his life like nothing ever happened. We deserve justice." Emily hesitated. She had buried thoughts of revenge, believing it would consume her. But Ethan's words stirred something inside her, an old pain that had never truly healed. "I don't know if revenge is the answer," she said carefully. "It won't change what happened." Ethan's gaze was unwavering. "It's not just revenge, Mom. It's about justice. He ruined your life. We have to make him pay." Days turned into weeks, and Emily couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, it was time to confront Lucas and make him face the consequences of his actions. That night, a plan began to form in her mind. With Ethan's help, they could expose Lucas for who he truly was. They could bring him to his knees. Months later, Ethan stood at the entrance of Bradstone Corporation, adjusting the collar of his shirt. It was his first day as an intern, and as he looked up at the massive building, he felt a thrill of satisfaction. He was finally inside the empire his father had built. Emily had watched him prepare for this moment with pride and fear. She had raised him to be strong and to fight for what was right, but she hadn't expected him to take on such a monumental task. "Good luck," she had whispered to him that morning as he left the apartment. "Be careful." Ethan smiled, the same reassuring smile she had come to rely on. "I've got this, Mom." Inside the towering structure, Ethan kept his head down, impressing supervisors and gaining trust. He stayed close enough to observe, but distant enough to remain unnoticed by Lucas. The weeks turned into months, and slowly he earned Lucas's confidence, positioning himself as a promising young employee. And then, one evening, the moment he had been waiting for arrived. The office was dimly lit, the setting sun casting long shadows across the floor, as Ethan sat across from Lucas in the CEO's luxurious office. Papers were scattered across the desk, and Lucas leaned back in his chair, sipping a glass of whiskey. "You've done well, Ethan," Lucas said, his voice thick with approval. "I'm thinking of promoting you. You've got potential, kid." Ethan's heart raced. This was the moment he had rehearsed in his mind countless times. He took a deep breath, locking eyes with Lucas. "There's something you should know," he said, his voice calm and controlled. Lucas raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Oh, what's that?" Ethan's gaze hardened. "My mother is Emily Parker." The name hung in the air, a heavy weight. For a moment, Lucas didn't react. Then, realization dawned on him, and his expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. "Emily Parker?" he repeated, his voice low and dangerous. "What are you talking about?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "You humiliated her, abandoned her, and now I'm here to make you pay for what you did." Lucas's face paled as the truth settled in. He stared at Ethan, his eyes narrowing. "You think you can destroy me? You're just an intern, a kid with a grudge. You have no idea how this world works." Ethan leaned forward, his voice cold. "I've been watching you, learning everything about this company. I know all your secrets, the shady deals, the people you've ruined. It's all there in black and white." Lucas's face twisted with anger and fear. He tried to maintain his composure, but the panic was clear. "You don't know what you're getting into," he spat. "You have no power here." Just then, the door opened, and Emily stepped into the room. She stood tall, exuding a quiet strength that silenced any remaining words in Lucas's throat. "I didn't have to set anything up, Lucas," Emily said, her voice calm. "You did this all on your own." For the first time, Lucas saw the truth. His empire was crumbling, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. In the months that followed, Bradstone Corporation was torn apart by scandal. Lucas's name was dragged through the mud as the media uncovered his cruel behavior, shady deals, and the family he had abandoned. His reputation, wealth, and power evaporated as quickly as they had been built. On a quiet evening, Ethan and Emily stood together, watching the city lights from their modest balcony. Ethan felt a sense of peace, a closure he hadn't anticipated. There. Victory wasn't in Lucas's downfall. It was in their resilience, their strength, and their unwavering love. They had faced the darkest parts of their past and emerged, not as victims, but as survivors. Thank you for joining us on this unforgettable journey of truth, betrayal, and redemption. Emily and Ethan's story reminds us that justice isn't always swift, but when it comes, it's powerful. Their courage and resilience in the face of betrayal show us that love and truth can prevail over greed and corruption. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs a reminder that even the most powerful people can fall when they lose sight of what truly matters.